Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. This is episode 117. I'm Mark,
I'm Jasmine.
and each week we mix in a bit of geeky pop culture chat with potentially some news, if there's been some, as well as reviewing something that's been adapted from the games or comic book industry.
Yes. And before we get started, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We appreciate that. We would also love it if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, we appreciate that as well. We would also very much love it if you would leave us a 5-star review on Podchaser or Apple Podcasts.
Please also remember we do have a Ko-Fi. Ko-Fi is something where you could just click a link and donate any kind of monetary value that you would like,
A
from
few
a
bucks,
pound,
any currency.
a pound, yeah, pound, dollar, whatever you would like, yen, Australian, whatever you want to kick in the pot.
Anything.
It's all appreciated. So before we got started, me and Jasmine both saying we've both had busy weeks. So show's going to be split up kind of. I've watched a couple of things. I didn't watch the Oscars. Jasmine did. So I actually, for those who like You, finished off season 4 of You, 5 episodes. I did it in one night.
Wow, that's unlike you.
You's addictive. You's addictive. I could not wait, so I had to watch it. So I had to know. And have you? By the way, have you watched You?
I watched the first season and then I never picked it up again.
I think you should. It's now heading in a territory that I don't. I think season 5 will be very different.
Oh, okay. In a good way, or
I think we're going to start seeing a much darker world now.
I mean, I love the dark stuff.
No, so I think season 1, 2, and 3 were and the start of 4 were very much the same formula that Joe wanted to find love. He would get entangled in things he shouldn't have got tangled in. He'd kill people.
I mean, as you do.
And then there was always someone to save as well. Like in the first one, there was the little boy who lived in the stairwell, lived in the flat above or the apartment above. In season 2, there was Jenna Ortega's character who was in another room in the apartment complex he was in. I can't remember season 3, but it was similar again. There was always someone he tried to save. Season 4 introduced a very similar character, and that has a very different ending in season 4. And they definitely turned the tables on Joe as a character by the end of season 4. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin it, but it's not even heading into Dexter territory because Dexter had a moral compass. I would say that probably by the end of this, the moral compass is now gone.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like throughout all of the seasons, Joe had a moral compass. Whilst obviously he's not a good guy, I do feel like he had this inner fight to be good.
Yeah.
Where with Dexter knew he was a bad guy, but had to keep it under control, or had generally tools in place to keep it in control. Where Joe doesn't have any tools to keep it in control, so he's kind of he's very much emotionally driven all the time, and probably Joe is actually much more unbalanced than look. They're both ultimately serial killers. Like there's no getting away from it. Dexter, and each of them have different mechanisms of how they try to keep it under control. Dexter's was to focus on killing the bad guy, where Joe kind of killed more for selfish reasons, really, but would occasionally kill if he felt that there was some sort of injustice around normally the person he loved. And generally it was Joe's kind of a selfish guy, but would try to occasionally be good. And yeah, at the start of part 2 of season 4, it completely starts to I would almost say like I could see why they now split into 2 parts for season 4, because it's almost like they've lied to the audience throughout the whole of part 1.
Oh, that sucks though.
But then they kind of turn it on its head in part 2, and then actually no, it's a good twist, like I think, because then it starts to lead towards I think what could be quite an interesting season 5.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh,
I'm
yeah.
not sold. I don't know if I'm going to pick it back up.
I think you should. I personally don't think season 4 was the strongest
Mm-hmm.
of seasons, but I'm wondering if it's now more of a bridge season to.
Oh, I'm surprised it's gotten 4 and will be getting 5.
Well, I
Has
don't know.
5 been announced?
No, I don't know if it has been announced,
Oh,
but
okay, okay.
the way it ends is that it. I mean, look, it's every season does the same thing. It wraps it up.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, 4 seasons though on Netflix is still impressive.
yeah, I definitely think that seasons 1 to 3 were the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen 2, I would seriously recommend that because I think that has a really good twist in it as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think that again changed something about a certain character.
Mm-hmm.
Not Joe, but there was another character in it that they um, kind of didn't really show you everything about that character until towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was good. So maybe you should on your next flight download all the Netflix episodes.
Yeah, that's a no.
On a tablet. Do you know what I do that whenever I get on planes? I don't watch the stuff on the plane. I
I
just
don't have
download on
anything
my
to
tablet.
watch it on unless I watched it on my phone. I don't have like an iPad or anything.
I do not. Oh, okay.
So
I do have a tablet, so I always download stuff for the flight.
I'm not
so,
that fancy, Mark.
like, I don't really, do you know what? I don't really use my tablet other than literally going on flights. I don't.
Yeah. I have one of those laptops that folds all the way over and it
Yeah.
like turns into, but it's heavy. Like, and if I don't have to take it on a trip, then I don't take my laptop. But yeah, I'm usually like stuck on a row full of people. So like it's always awkward to watch something. Most of the time, especially like if I'm flying.
Like graphic horror.
Yeah, exactly. Like there, like a couple of years ago, we when we were doing the book club and we did V for Vendetta. Like I was on a flight and I was reading my hardcover of V for Vendetta, and like the guy sitting next to me took that as an opportunity to ask me questions every time I turned the page, and I'm like, I'm trying to read the freaking book, dude. Like,
what about he was asking questions about the book?
Yeah, but I'm like, I'm trying to read it. Like, don't talk to me while I'm reading the book. And he just like kept, and then he like pulled all. It was the weirdest thing. I was just like, can you please go to sleep so that I can read my book?
Had he read it, or he wanted to know more about it?
No, he never even heard of the movie. And I was like, really? You've never heard of the movie either? I don't know. And then I was like, if you've never heard of the character, why do you keep asking me questions about this character? Leave me alone.
I watched some other things as well, but we won't talk about them all now because it's not time. But I last night watched the first episode of a miniseries called Plan B.
Okay. Never heard of that.
The cover of it jumped out at me. The poster, because it had the main guy, Patrick Adams from Suits, and had him in the middle, but then sort of variations of his face either side. And I thought, oh, what's that about? Like, because I wondered if it was like a multiple personality thing. It turns out it wasn't. So he's just a normal businessman. I actually don't know what his job is, but clearly something high flying executive thing where they have board meetings and make presentations and win deals. I can't remember what it was, but a law thing. They're like solicitors or something like that, lawyers. And I think that's what they were.
So it's like Suits the sequel.
Yeah, but he's actually a lawyer. I don't think he was a lawyer before, was he?
He was. Well, I think that was part of the thread. Like he was not licensed. Yeah, which they found out later. Yeah.
So he's living in a house with his very serious partner. I don't think they're married. And there's a lot going on. And so the opening scene starts with him meeting her, and he kind of said, I feel like I've known you my whole life. It's all very mysterious. And then it jumps forward to what I can imagine was several years later, and goes through about his day to win this presentation. His partner, she's in and out. She's in the office, and she makes lots of complaints throughout the day about how he treats her, how she's treated in the law firm, all this kind of stuff. And when he goes off to make the presentation. She's like wishes him good luck. I could tell how she was. I thought, I know what's going to happen. He comes back from the presentation, and she's packed her bags. She's left him. She leaves him, etc. And then he goes out for drinks later on with, I think it's her brother, because he's also he was friends with her brother beforehand. And then he's like obviously down on it, whatever. And there's a wall, like a wall full of like flyers and stuff like that. And he sees one that says Plan B, and it says like, have things ever gone wrong in your life? Call this number. And so he takes it off the wall, goes home. Obviously, he's just sitting at home. Oh, his house has been going through renovations. So he's back at his house, everything's a wreck. He's drinking, etc. He dials it, and so there's an automated service, and so it's like press one, etc. If you're going through whatever, I can't remember all the options now. And then enter your credit card number, enter his card number. And then this is when the bit that kind of is a bit, everything's normal up until this point. The next question is, select your destination, year, month, or day. And I was like, here we go. He hangs up, goes, what the fuck, whatever. Anyway, so then you see him throughout the night still getting more and more pissed. And he picks up the phone, and he then selects the previous day. And then he wakes up in the morning, everything's still shit, whatever. The doorbell goes, and these two men are at the door, and they say to him, his character's called Philip. They say, are you Philip? He goes, yeah. They bundle him into the back of a van, and then the next thing, he wakes up in his bed, laying next to his girlfriend, and he's like really confused, and he's like, what's the day? And she's like, says the day, and he realizes he's now gone back in time to the day that she ended things with him, like the day of the presentation, or sorry, the day before the presentation, or whatever it is. And so he's basically gone back. I guess it's like 48 hours he's gone back, and he then goes through, makes all these wonderful changes, saves everything, like manages to convince his girlfriend not to leave him. But he does all these things mainly around his girlfriend, but he fucks up the presentation, which he won. He won the deal for the presentation in the previous timeline, but then he hasn't won the presentation because he did everything to fix his personal life. And then because he didn't win that, then it's a massive ripple effect. And then it ends with basically the shit hitting the fan all over again, from her, from all the renovators, because he now hasn't got the cash to fund the renovation. And I don't know how on earth he suddenly didn't have any cash. He was halfway through this renovation. But anyway, I think so. I can see what's going to happen because this is 6 episodes. I can see that he's now going to have to jump further back again. I wonder if it's going to be slightly like Groundhog Day. So yeah, but I thought it was an interesting premise, and I thought to myself, this is where like it's mainly character driven, and obviously there's this whole mystery of what is this Plan B thing, and who are these guys that chuck them in the van. But I thought to myself, I don't really care who they are. Like, I don't think that, and I think that's something a lot of people get caught up in, that mystery element. Like, what's Plan B? Who are these people? And I'd be quite happy if they just don't explain it. I'm good with that.
And they just kidnap him and send him back through time. How much does that cost though? Because he had to give his credit card information.
Yeah, no, I know. I thought to myself that, like, what happens? Because obviously when you go back in time, surely that must erase the charges for the card transactions.
Yeah.
So unless it's like the final one, like, so if you have to keep doing it, maybe the final one, like the one where you're happy with that timeline. It's all going to be like Barry and the Flash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So no good can come from ever going back in time, I reckon, and fixing things. So you just have to learn and move forward.
Yeah.
But I think the premise is quite a cool idea. It's a very much like a new take on Groundhog Day.
I don't like the stuff. Well, I mean, it's not so bad if it is like different sequences. Like Groundhog Day didn't bother me so much because even though it's the same day over and over again, he does like different stuff.
Yeah.
But like, there's a movie called Vantage Point with Matthew Fox and Forrest Whitaker and Zoe Saldana, and it is literally
I don't think I've seen it.
About some kind of assassination. But you literally watch this film from 12 different people's point of view, and you watch the event play out 12 times, and it's just like, I am sick of seeing the same thing over and over again, just from someone else's point of view. Like, this that to me is really monotonous. Like, I understand the concept of like, well, but look at it from this angle. But when they do that too much, it just like it loses its effect to me. So not the biggest fan of that trope.
I don't mind it, but I think it's got limited. I think the 6 episodes here is probably good. I think, and I wonder because it said select your destination whether he can now go back like a month or a year. So I wonder if the Groundhog Day thing might be limited because that opening scene where he meets that girl initially, and you could see that he looks quite disheveled, like when he first meets her, and he's like, "Oh, I feel like I've known you all my life," or whatever. I wonder if actually that opening scene was him from the future going back and meeting her for the first time.
Maybe.
So I wonder if that opening scene was he maybe like the last episode where he realizes he can't just go back to these short-term things. He needs to go back all the way and almost redo his whole life because he's prioritized work so much over somebody he loves. So people do that.
I don't know, man.
So,
I don't know. I'm career first. I don't see the problem.
No. I think, no, I do agree with you. Like, you have to put career and work first a lot of the time because I'm not saying that you put it first to the detriment of your own life.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a career and an income, then that will actually affect your personal life. So,
yes, absolutely.
If I just said, I'm not going to go to work tomorrow, or ever again, I think drastically that will cause lots of issues. So,
I would think so, especially since you have people that depend on you.
yeah. Or do you know what? I'm just going to take go and get a job that's a lot easier for me, like, and it's going to just. I'm not going to say any jobs because people might think I'm putting it down on something, but like if I went and picked a job that, I don't know, paid me 20 grand less or something, that again would cause me issues. So yeah. But anyway, I wanted to mention, just before we move on, there was a TV show that came out in 2006 called Daybreak, and I don't know if you remember it.
It sounds familiar.
Taye Diggs and Moon Bloodgood. Such a crazy
Oh my
name.
god, I love Moon Bloodgood.
Right, and but there's loads of people in it. There's a girl in it. I'm dead sure that Victoria Pratt. Do you remember her? She was in. Was it one of those?
She was in Spartacus, wasn't she?
Oh, hold on. You're gonna make me look it up now.
Victoria
Pratt. She was in Mutant X. I think she's been in lots of like tacky shit stuff. Like made for TV movies and things like that. Oh, do you know what? Adam Baldwin was in it. Oh yeah, Mitch Pileggi was in it. Oh, Ian Anthony Dale was in it. There's quite a few people that are quite good actors in it. So anyway, Daybreak was Groundhog Day, the TV show. It was 13 episodes, and even the intro was every day I wake up and today is the same day. And however, there were repercussions. So if by the end of the first day he gets shot, when he goes back in time, when essentially goes back to live his day again, he wakes up with like his bullet wound. So there was different like, so he woke up one episode, he wakes up in the morning and the blood's coming out and he's been shot. I think I remember that roughly. But so throughout the show there was lots of things going on. I think there was something with a family member, there was lots of different things going on, and if he managed to change an event in someone's life, when he woke up the next day, he wouldn't have to resolve that part again. So I think it was a family member that was having problems. And then when he woke up, that thing is more naturally resolved the following day. But there's a big overall mystery because every day ends with him getting killed one way or the other. And there's like a criminal conspiracy bit, and there's a lot going on. And he kind of has to resolve that by the end of the day. And it's kind of alluded to the fact that it got cancelled, but it's kind of alluded to the fact at the end of the show that there's a lot more to this Groundhog Day element, but because it got cancelled, obviously,
the world will never know.
yeah, the world will never know. But yeah, I don't think that Groundhog Day effect is used that often, and I don't know if it's always used that well. But
Hmm.
the Groundhog Day show with Bill Murray is the best one, so that I have seen.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I won't talk about anything else that I've watched. Do you want to summarize the Oscars for us?
Spoiler: nobody got slapped. That was the big non-news of the evening. But
Did it get?
also,
Did it get mentioned?
yes, Jimmy Kimmel mentioned it a few times.
Yeah.
Um, but the so I guess like whatever happened, like it was the first year where a woman gave out the award for best female actress. Because usually they flip it, like, so whoever won best male actor of the year before presents the award for best female actor of the next year. And then vice versa. But this time around, they didn't do that. So Jessica Chastain and Halle Berry presented the best female actor award to Michelle Yeoh, which I loved her speech. It was fantastic. And I think it's ridiculous that it has taken this long for an Asian woman to A, be nominated for Best Actress, and then B, to actually win Best Actress. But Michelle Yeoh is a goddess. She deserves everything, everywhere, all at once. So I was really happy for her. And this is a film I need to see. I haven't seen it, but apparently people love it. It is literally the most nominated film of all time. It surpassed Lord of the Rings: Return of the King for nominations across all awards. I think it has received somewhere upwards of 350 different nominations from all of the various different award organizations. But it sure did win a whole bunch of awards last night at the Oscars. The speeches were good. The music was kind of fun. The song from the Bollywood film RRR won for Best Original Song. And let me tell you something. Nobody does song and dance the way Bollywood does song and dance. And like
Yeah.
watching them perform that song on the Oscar stage was my second favorite moment of the night, behind Michelle Yeoh winning. It was just so entertaining. Like it was just so lively. So I need to put RRR on my list too, to watch that film. I've heard really, really great things about it. But it was not too many surprises. I think like there were a couple of things that I thought went the wrong way. I really thought Black Panther should have won Best Makeup, and it didn't. But it did win Best Costume, which
Mm-hmm.
I agree with. I loved everything about the way that they did Wakanda and Talokan in Black Panther. So I'm very happy that Ruthie E. Carter got her second Oscar, because she won the Oscar for the first Black Panther as well for costume design. But other than that, I mean, I don't really think that there were too many surprises. A lot of people were kind of disappointed that Angela Bassett didn't win Best Supporting Actress for her role in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. But overall, I think, I mean, I would say the night went pretty much to plan. I think the surprise for the night, for me at least, was how much All Quiet on the Western Front won. I read that book in high school. It was one of the few books I read in high school that I loved. Oh my God, that book is phenomenal. I haven't seen this film yet, but it won a lot of like editing and cinematography and like the very artistic and stylized awards. A lot of those went to All Quiet on the Western Front. And disappointing, Top Gun Maverick only won once.
I know.
It won for best sound editing, sound design, one of those.
Oh yeah, sound. I think it was.
Yeah. Oh, so that's another thing. Like I noticed this year they combined the two sound categories into one, which to the casual viewer I appreciate, because I don't know the difference between sound editing and sound design, and they've always given out two separate Oscars for those two categories before. So now they just have a sound category. Now I'm sure they still have breakouts in, because they still do the technical Oscars the day before. That is not televised. But yeah, best visual effects obviously went to Avatar. I mean, as much as I wanted Top Gun to win that one, I can understand why Avatar won best visual effects. And yeah, I don't really think that there were too many other surprises. I think a lot of the jokes kind of fell flat. The audience didn't really seem very like into it like they normally do. Jimmy Kimmel was a good host as he always is. Like he's very much himself. It felt like you were watching a very, very, very long episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Um, yeah, I mean, I just don't have. I think the only moment that really made me scratch my head was when Elizabeth Banks presented an award, and Elizabeth Banks directed Cocaine Bear, which came out this year. And so like she came out on stage to give out the visual effects award, and she came out on stage with someone in a bear suit. And it was very awkward. Like, I don't know. She was sick, like her voice was all messed up, her jokes weren't landing. She couldn't really talk the way she normally does. And like, I don't know. It was that whole sequence was a mess. But you know, I mean, she directed a movie called Cocaine Bear, so you don't expect too much, I guess.
I really want to watch that film. I'm not going to the cinema to see it, but
Yeah, as soon as that one becomes like available on demand, I'm totally gonna watch it because like it is the stupidest title, but it is based on a true story. Like, so I definitely want to check that out at some point.
I
But
think
yeah, so
from
not much to report about the Oscars. Like no real drama to me. A couple of disappointments, but nothing. I mean, nothing notable or newsworthy, I would say.
what was it? So Everything Everywhere at Once won 7 awards at the Oscars. That's crazy, isn't it?
That's a lot.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think, well, not agree. I don't know your opinion. Sorry, you said other people about Angela Bassett. I personally think she should have won an award.
I thought she was phenomenal as Queen Ramonda.
I mean,
Jamie
if
Lee
you're
Curtis
comparing,
won for Everything Everywhere All at Once. She won Best Supporting Actress. There were 2 people from that film that were nominated in that category. So it was, I mean, it was a stacked category. But it seemed like the darling of the evening was 100% Everything Everywhere All at Once.
yeah, I don't agree with that one. I'm not a problem with Jamie Lee as an actress, but I just Angela Bassett was so much stronger. So I've seen Everything Everywhere at Once.
Mm-hmm.
I have viewed my opinions off air about this film. I
Yeah,
didn't like it. I
yeah.
didn't like the movie. Don't know. It was all right. Like there were parts I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And if people say that I didn't understand it, no, I did understand it. I've spoken to people though that have told me that they cried at the end, and I'm like, what?
But
Like,
people are emotional, okay? You
and
didn't cry at Black Panther either. I totally cried at Black Panther.
um, I can't remember, but I don't remember. I don't know if I cried many movies, but Calendar Girls made me cry. I always remember that. Anyway, I'll be honest with you. Everything, everywhere, all at once. I don't know. I don't reckon it at all. Like, so it just shocks me the amount of people that go on about how brilliant it is. Like,
Yeah.
I really want you to watch it. You're probably going to go, oh, it's brilliant. And I'll be like, okay, sure, Jasmine.
Yeah. Well, also you like the Queen's Gambit, so you know.
Queen's Gambit was brilliant. Queen's Gambit was brilliant. So there are many people that like the Queen's Gambit though. So.
Queen's Gambit was terrible. It was so boring. A snooze fest, in fact.
Oh, I love the Queen's Gambit. Do you know what though? With the Queen's Gambit, I actually wanted more of the younger girl.
Yeah.
So I know we got.
She was way more interesting.
And I actually thought that was really interesting. That whole premise about how she discovered chess at the beginning. So I was kind of. I think they rushed on from her too quickly. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So yeah, it won a lot of awards. Don't get me wrong. I'm really pleased for Michelle Yeoh to win the award. I love her in pretty much everything.
Yeah, I mean, she can do no wrong in my book. Like they say that people get starstruck. Like I've met some pretty big names. Like I think probably Samuel L. Jackson is like the biggest name that I've ever met in person. But like if I ever met Michelle Yeoh, I think I might be just like an idiotic fangirl. Honestly, I don't even know if I'd be able to like keep it all in. I would be just grinning ear to ear if I ever get to meet Michelle Yeoh.
I was watching this week as well. We watched The Mechanic and The Mechanic Resurrection. I don't know if you've seen those with Jason Statham.
Yes.
She is in Resurrection. Not actually has a very small role in Resurrection. When she shows up on the beach, I'm like, oh, cool, she's in it. Like, and I love her. Well, the moment I see her, I'm like, I can trust her as an actress. I think she's a really good actress, but I love her in Star Trek Discovery. She's amazing. I mean, so good in Star Trek Discovery. Like, just And she's meant to be getting her own Star Trek spin-off, which can't come soon enough.
Yeah.
So
Because
I
you
don't know
never
what's
get to
happening
see
there.
her like play a bad guy. So like in Star Trek where she plays those two characters, oh man, she does it so well. So
Oh,
well.
when she's so kick ass. It's like
Hmm.
the kind of like the villain, so to speak.
Yeah.
And obviously she starts to come around in Star Trek. But yeah, no, she's an amazing actress. So I'm really
Yeah.
pleased for her to win Best Actress. I just personally, this film was not for me. So,
Yeah.
and having seen this movie, there's no whilst Jamie Lee Curtis again is a great actress and
Hmm.
plays a great, and she plays that role believably. I mean, all of the acting, by the way, and everything everyone wants is great. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with the acting. And Jamie Lee Curtis plays like a really good supporting character in that movie.
Yeah.
But if we're giving awards for supporting characters, Angela Bassett,
Angela Bassett
uh,
was fantastic.
I mean,
I mean, she was just so good.
I would almost say that Angela Bassett was probably almost one of the main characters in that movie.
Yeah.
That's how strong she was. Because
Yeah.
we've said this before, Wakanda Forever was an ensemble cast movie. It
Hmm.
wasn't, in a sense, they were all supporting cast. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so like I said, that was the only category where I was kind of like, I don't know. That's not, I love Jamie Lee, but like that's not, I would not have gone that route. I definitely would have given that. That would have been Angela Bassett for me. Um,
I noticed was
yeah.
it the whale got two things, obviously the makeup and best actor for Brendan
Yeah.
Fraser.
I,
I've not seen the whale, have you?
no, I haven't, but I disagree with them winning best makeup as well. I thought that should have gone to Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, I should have done. Yeah,
I mean, like, because Avatar can't win for best makeup because it was all visual, and they did win for visual effects. And I felt like it was kind of cheating because when they were explaining the way that they did the makeup in the whale, they said a lot of it was digital, like the fat suit that they put Brendan Fraser in. And like the makeup on his, it's all very digital because they wanted to keep his facial structure without putting him in like a cumbersome like fat suit to take away from his emotions. And I was like, so you use technology more than you used makeup. I don't know. I just feel like Wakanda Forever. Like you had the Telecons and they lived underwater and they had like they go from like blue to I don't know. Like I just thought that the makeup in Black Panther was way more interesting. So those are my two categories. Best supporting actress, was not happy with that. And then best makeup, I was not happy with that either.
I'm glad that Avatar won best visual
I
effects.
mean, I don't think anything could have beat that.
No.
And the only other thing that I wanted to win, I really, really wish Top Gun Maverick had won Best Picture. I
Yeah,
really do.
I would have been happy with Top Gun or Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, Top Gun was my favorite movie I saw last year.
I feel like Wakanda Forever should have won Best Picture, but I would have been happy with Top Gun. I'll be honest, I'm not happy with everything everywhere at once. However, I am happy for Michelle to win Best Actress. I do
Yeah.
think she's not just amazing in that. Like I think she's a good. No, by the way, I think everything everyone wants. The acting is really good. I just didn't like. I just didn't like the movie. And
Well, they won 3
how?
acting awards. They won Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah, no, I sometimes like, all I'll say is sometimes you have to watch something twice. There's like when the Batman came out, I didn't like it first time around. Did not like the Batman. Strangely enough, yesterday I saw that movie a year ago, so I didn't like it when it first came out. Anyway, a couple of months later, forward to a couple of months later, and I was watching it at home, and I rewatched it, and I actually thought second time around it was much better. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it second time around, and actually it was one of my favorite movies of last year.
I'm
So
still very salty about the Geeks Unleashed poll that we did, and people voted the Batman ahead of Top Gun Maverick. I cannot wrap my mind around how that happened.
At that point, I hadn't seen Top Gun Maverick, but I watched it over Christmas, and I love them both.
So good. Top Gun Maverick to me, like, so I was watching the Oscars with some of my friends at work in publicity in LA, and all they kept talking about was like, there needs to be a whole new category at the Oscars for blockbusters. Like, we need a separate category for blockbuster features, right? Like that, and then we can get like the MCU could finally get like its first Oscar, maybe. You know, like we need a category that is dedicated strictly to entertaining. Did you go to the movie and were you entertained? Like it doesn't have to tell an amazing story. It doesn't have to be this life-changing thing. It doesn't have to talk about World War II or something super serious. Like there should be a category for fun. Like, and I just think like Top Gun It got pushed back 2 years because of COVID. It came out Memorial Day weekend last year, and it was just like, it was the first film that I had seen in theaters in a really long time. And it was just, but it's like the perfect go to the theater with people and have a good time kind of film. Like those kinds of films, I think, need their own category, because I think they should also be awarded, because the whole point of you going to the theater and watching these movies is to be entertained.
A lot of those movies, though, are keeping the cinema industry going.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Where would 2022 have been without Top Gun Maverick, which made over $1 billion in theaters across the world?
And it wins Best Sound.
Yeah, okay. $1 billion.
And like even Wakanda Forever, I don't know how much that made. That made a lot, didn't it?
I think it made like 700 or 800 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
then Avatar. Avatar wins Best Visual Effects. Okay, sure.
2 million.
Top Gun wins
2 billion. Sorry. 2
yeah,
billion.
Exactly. Top Gun wins for Best Sound, and it's like those two films alone pretty much carried last year in the theaters. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense that we're not awarding, like, I'm not saying like you have to give an award to the film that makes the most money, but I am saying that the films that make this kind of money don't get any kind of recognition. And I think that is silly.
Yeah, I think without films like Avatar and Black Panther and Top Gun, like those people that are selling you popcorn and your tickets and all the rest of it, because let's be honest,
you can watch a drama at home. Like if I watch Everything Everywhere All at Once on my TV versus watching it in a theater, is the movie going to feel any different? Probably not. But if I watch Top Gun on my TV versus having watched Top Gun in a theater, that's a big difference. Like it's a big like experience difference that you have there.
Well, it also keeps, like, so when I went and saw Morbius at the cinema last year, there was like 4 other people in the cinema. Like, I know we'll make jokes about that another time, but if it's not for the films like Avatar that allow us to see those films, now obviously the people that made Avatar probably would like equally those numbers, but if we don't have the numbers from the bigger films, they're not able to then show these smaller films.
Exactly.
And I imagine a lot of the cash flow for these cinemas is very much fluctuates.
Yes.
So
listen, I worked at a movie theater, and every summer the movie theater made its money for the year over the summer.
In 6 weeks.
Yeah. Like it was high season. We knew it, and all of the people that were coming to the theater knew it. All of our managers would always be like, okay, we're ramping up. They ramped up 2 times a year. So we always hired more people for the summer, and we always hired more people for like the Thanksgiving to Christmas, that 6 weeks, right? Like that is the time of year where those things happen. I mean, yeah, I just think like a lot of this, and that's probably like part of the beef that people have been having with the Academy and all of these award bodies for so long. It's like, you guys have this antiquated view of what is worthy, but you kind of ignore the general public, right? Now, obviously, the general public doesn't get to vote. Like, you have to be a member of these groups to vote. But at the same time, like, you can't just make movies for yourself. You as the Academy cannot just make movies for other members of the Academy. You are making films for the entire world, and like those films that do really well should be rewarded for such.
I already wanted to jump on what you said. Sorry, I was being impatient. Did you ever watch the X-Files?
No.
There was an episode. You must remember the character, the cigarette smoking man.
Yes.
So the cigarette smoking man always stood in the background. He was like a puppeteer, and he knew lots of shit that was going on. They did an episode once that focused purely on the cigarette smoking man. Anyway, there's one, and this episode kind of jumped over, say, a 10, 20-year period. I think from memory, I don't know, it could have been less than that. But anyway, there's one scene where he was in a boardroom with like 2 or 3 other people, and they just looked up at him and went, "Who do you want to win the Oscars this year?" And he went, "Oh, I don't care, you choose." Like, or something like that, words to that effect. And so that's how powerful he was, that he chose the winners of the Oscars. Like, and it kind of made me laugh. I've never forgotten that scene, because I thought to myself, that's how I've always viewed the Oscars, as they're so not in touch with the public. They are, and that's why, like, when a lot of, like, for me, Everything Everywhere Once was not a film I liked. And most of the time when I see the winners of the Oscars, I would say they're not at all what I consider my favorite movies of last year.
Yeah.
So, like, my favorite movies of last year were not most of the films that have won awards were not anywhere near.
Exactly.
Like,
And the thing is, like, they have all of these great what to me, like, the little previews that we get when you're watching the Oscars, like the short films, the animated features, the documentary features. Where the hell do we get to watch those? Where the hell can I go to watch the shorts that are nominated for Oscars? Like, how does the public even get to see how do we get to see these things? I have no idea what any of these things are.
Do you know, I at Christmas I shared my 9 favorite movies of last year. Glass Onion, where was that?
That got nominated.
I mean, didn't win, but
no, it didn't win.
Scream 5, where was that? Come
Didn't
on.
get nominated.
And Top Gun Maverick didn't win Best Picture. The Batman, I love that movie.
The Batman was nominated.
For what though?
Makeup.
Oh, okay.
And see, like, the whale beat that out too.
Black Adam, I liked that. Like,
you did not put that on your favorite 9 list, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I liked that movie. It wasn't the best movie of all time, but I enjoyed that movie last year. Mainly, I'll be honest with you, because of Henry Cavill.
Henry, yeah, okay.
Prey as well. I thought that was brilliant. Have you seen Prey?
No.
Jurassic...
that's the Predator movie, right?
Yeah. Predator prequel movie. Yeah, it's brilliant. So good. Such a good movie. I know, again, this movie is not going to win anything, but it probably won something. Jurassic World Dominion.
Don't be hating. Listen, the first Jurassic Park was nominated for Best Original Song because of John Williams, and I believe it won that year. And the first film was Spielberg. Like, Jurassic Park got some nods back in the day. I actually enjoyed Dominion.
I enjoyed Dominion. I thought it was brilliant.
I thought it was so freaking cool to see, like, dinosaurs running through the streets. That was really cool.
And my last 2 were Wakanda Forever and Death on the Nile.
Oh, I didn't watch that one.
I think Death on the Nile was much better than the Orient Express. So
Death on the Nile. I think the problem with Death on the Nile was probably Armie Hammer, because all of that Armie Hammer drama came out last year.
I just watched it and didn't worry about anything else. So anyway, should we move on to... We've talked probably more about the Oscars
we've talked. We're probably talking more about the Oscars than about this movie.
Right, okay. So our main event is Howard the Duck from 1986. You know, I was 5
taking it back.
Movie. 5 when this movie came out.
I was not.
Right, okay. Based on the characters of Marvel Comics.
The very first appearance of Howard the Duck in the comics was Adventure into Fear number 19 in 1973. Howard the Duck and Man-Thing were actually, like, in that series together. Funny enough, since we just did Man-Thing last week, by the way.
Deliberately.
Go watch that episode, or listen to that episode, and then come tell us how much you hated that movie, and if you hated it more than we did. Because I'm pretty sure it's the lowest score we've ever given. Anyway, Howard the Duck was created by Steve Gerber and Val Mayrick.
It's written by William Haycock, and Gloria Katz. Directed by, Willard Haycock, or Haycock. I don't know. Hook, maybe. Anyway.
It stars Leah Thompson, Jeffrey Jones, Tim Robbins, and Chip Zien is the voice of Howard, but there are 7 people plus puppeteers that control that duck as well.
It came out 1st of August 1986. My birthday is in August, so I wouldn't have been able to see it. It was 12. Right. Had a running time of 111 minutes. It had a budget. Wow. 30 to, roughly.
That seems high to me.
30, somewhere between 30 and 37 million. And it made its money back 38 million.
Barely.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't lose money. So.
I'm pretty sure they considered it a flop, though.
Oh yeah, it was a flop.
Yeah. So fun fact, like I said earlier, there were several puppeteers, at least 4 puppeteers and 7 different characters that at one point were inside the duck suit playing Howard the Duck, plus a totally different character actually voicing the duck. Another fun fact, since we just spent so much time talking about award shows, Howard the Duck in 1986 won 4 Razzies. It won for Worst Picture, Worst Screenplay, Worst New Star, and the caveat for the Worst New Star win was that they gave that award to all of the puppeteers, all of the actors in the suit, and the voice actor that played the duck. And then it won for Worst Visual Effects. And if that wasn't bad enough, 3 years later, it was then nominated as the worst film of the decade. But it lost worst film of the decade, which went to Prince's film Under the Cherry Moon.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen that.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It lost worst film of the decade to Mommy Dearest, which I did not realize that Mommy Dearest, they thought that was a worst film. That film, my friends and I quote all the time, and it is one of the reasons why I no longer have wire hangers in my closet. So one more fun fact. So this lovely lead singer here on the cover of this magazine that Howard is reading, Leah Thompson and her band, which her band also included Holly Robinson Peete, who is actually a singer. So Leah Thompson and the band did all of their own vocals for all of the songs on the soundtrack. I thought that was pretty neat.
I didn't actually know she could sing, to be honest. So
yeah, me neither.
But yeah, right. Anyway, so IMDb summary: a sarcastic humanoid duck is pulled from his homeworld to Earth, where he must stop an alien invasion with the help of a nerdy scientist and a struggling female rock singer.
I mean, that is surprisingly accurate for that description, honestly.
Yeah.
For once, IMDb.
That's it. Oh yeah.
So yeah, in the current MCU, I actually did not realize because I didn't finish all of What If. But Howard the Duck does make an appearance in What If, and Howard the Duck is voiced in the MCU by Seth Green.
You should finish What If.
I should. I only got up to the Chadwick episode.
That's good. It's really good. Like it kind of the 9th episode brings it all together. So you actually get like they have it, obviously it's all solo episodes until the final episode, then they go back and he pulls people from previous episodes like the Watcher to create a team. So
fancy.
Yeah. And there was an episode they didn't make, so they pulled a character for I don't know if they didn't make or didn't finish, so there was another character in it that hadn't had his own episode. I think that's meant to be in season 2. So, anyway, so overall thoughts on this movie.
Let's hear it, Mark. Come on.
So do you know what? Like with Man Thing, I hated it. It was awful. It was really, really bad. I felt every minute of that film. And then Werewolf by Night. So we kind of grouped these films together because they're kind of a bit of an oddball selection of Marvel characters. Werewolf by Night was brilliant. Man Thing was terrible. Howard the Duck is kind of in that world of unique Marvel characters. They're not as well known. Howard the Duck is probably a bit more of a cult classic movie now.
Yeah.
I would say I've not seen this movie as many times. I have seen it in the past. I've not seen it as many times as I've seen other movies. Maybe like 3 or 4 times over the years. Maybe I don't know. Maybe no more than 3. And I wouldn't say I hate this film. I think there's actually some good parts about it that are enjoyable. Like there is funny parts in here. Don't want to say it's. I wouldn't say it's got the strongest of acting. Like
no, not at all.
But what I did like was Leah Thompson. Now, Back to the Future, I absolutely love Back to the Future, and she clearly was much more supporting cast role as Marty's mum. Throughout those movies. In the first film, she got a much bigger role, but she was obviously very much sidelined throughout that trilogy, and I don't think I've seen her in anything else. I think she's been in the odd thing that I've seen, like the odd episode, but I did actually like to see her kind of take in more of a lead role in this movie. I thought that was quite cool, and I liked the fact that she kind of took Howard under her wing, so to speak. I didn't actually do that deliberately, I'll be honest. I didn't do that deliberately.
Sure.
I didn't do that deliberately. Now, I'll be honest with you, wasn't too keen on the whole bestiality stuff that kind of was going on. But like, I'm not too sure what that was about, but I liked the fact that actually he was quite he was sitting in the alleyway and on his own, and she did look after him. I thought that was nice. And then how she ended up kind of helping him save the world, and then ends with her, as I didn't know, singing her own song about how the duck. It's kind of like, it's definitely not a children. You couldn't watch it with people that were less than
No, they
12.
have duck boobs.
Yeah, I know, and obviously the weird bestiality stuff.
Yeah.
No, I think if children saw that, they probably wouldn't
Well, it's
care.
rated R too, so
Oh, I
isn't
thought it
it?
was a 12. I thought it was a 12.
Oh, is it?
12. Yeah.
Oh, maybe because it's duck boobs, it doesn't count as real nudity.
Yeah, maybe. Look, the story is paper thin. Storyline's paper thin.
Of course.
It's not that difficult to follow. It's kind of a fun.
It is a
movie.
film of its time.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun of its time. I reckon it would probably be. I think the kind of environment it would suit would be watching it with a group of friends with a few beers.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't then need to focus on the story. It wouldn't matter if your attention went to every few minutes, because if you'd be chatting with a few friends or laughing, having jokes, beers, that's the kind of movie I think it is.
Yeah.
It's not, like I say, it's not going to change your life by watching it. I would say if you're keen to make your way through every comic book movie or TV show or anything like that, like we're now attempting to do, it's good to have watched it to form an opinion. I like Howard the Duck as a character. I think it's quite a unique premise that someone came up with, a talking duck from an alien planet.
Yeah.
I liked how it started with showing the similarities of their world, with the commercials, the baseball bat, this is a $9.99, this is not $8.99, this is whatever it is. And then obviously the moment later on when Tim Robbins' character imagines the what's it called, evolution, but with rather than human, rather than sort of monkeys and Neanderthals, all the different duck stages. I thought that was pretty cool as well. So yeah, I don't know. Like I say, it's not the worst movie in the world. There are worse. It's not the best movie by any stretch of the imagination. Would I ever watch it again? I mean, I wouldn't say no, I wouldn't watch it again. But
but I would definitely have to watch it with alcohol.
I think, next time. I'd be quite happy to wait 10, 15 years before I put this on again. I'm never going to rush to it. So it's not like Avengers Endgame, which I've watched multiple times. Like Endgame I've probably watched 30 times since it's come out. So,
no. Wow.
I love Endgame. I think Endgame's brilliant. So, but anyway, I'll stop. What's your overall thoughts? You've never seen this before, have you?
No, this is my first time seeing this film. I knew the premise, but I had never actually seen it. And like you, at first I was like, ew, but he's a duck. And then I thought to myself, yeah, but I play video games, and in my video games, whenever there's an option to romance an alien, I always romance the alien instead of the human. And it's so you can't be too upset about the duck hitting on the chick. It just, I don't know. So anyway, at first I was like, ew, but then I was like, okay, well, I get it, I guess. To each their own. I thought that the humor in here was very 80s. This to me feels like a very quintessential 80s film. And that's kind of the lens I chose to watch it through. So it felt to me very much like it belonged in 1986. So I kind of was surprised at how poorly it was received at the time. Because to me, looking back at that time, it feels more like it would have fit in better. Versus if they remake this now, they definitely have to change a lot about the way that they do it.
So much.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it can be done, and I think if they still let Kevin Smith do it, I think he'll find a way to walk the line. But as far as the plot and all that stuff, it's very again, it's very 80s. There's not much to it. It's really kind of thin. The villain is very expected. Although I love Jeffrey Jones, and for him to have turned into the villain at the end of the film, I love his character in Beetlejuice. He's one of my favorites in Beetlejuice as well. So I just you kind of just enjoy it for what it is. It almost feels like, I don't know, if Blues Brothers and Terminator had a illegitimate stepchild, this would be that kid. So it's I can see a lot of other film influences in here. And you just take it at face value. So it's not nothing to write home about. It's not, I don't know. I don't see how it really fits into the overall picture of the new MCU. But it was
I think
still entertaining, I think.
I think with new MCU, I think keeping him in the world of people like Guardians of the Galaxy would
Yeah, of
probably be
course.
better. That would probably be better, or an
It's the only
animated
place he
thing.
fits.
Yeah, or
Yeah, so far all
animated.
the MCU stuff he's done has been animated. Like they brought him in 2014 for some kind of Guardians of the Galaxy short. And then the last time we saw him was in What If. So all of the appearances so far have been animated.
I've got a feeling he might have been in the holiday special at the end, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you know what? It's quite interesting. You know, you just said it made me look this up just now. You know, on IMDb, if you're looking at a film and it says films like this film, like you might like. I always like to look at that, and you're going to love the first movie that comes up as film.
He-Man.
So if you might like this, you might also like this. Is Master of the Universe from 1987. So that is the first one that comes up.
Yes.
And then The Punisher from 1989 with Dolph Lundgren, which I've never seen. There's a bunch in here. Man Thing happens to be one of them. Teen Wolf, Flash Gordon. There's a few other ones in here. Big Trouble in Little China and
oh yes,
Tank Girl.
Love Tank Girl. I would not put this film in the category with Tank Girl though. I think Tank Girl is way better than Howard the Duck.
Last Action Hero and Inner Space. Spaceballs. There's a bunch of things in there which I don't think are particularly linked with Howard the Duck.
No, but it definitely did remind me of He-Man.
Master of the Universe, I definitely think there's a lot of similarities. Master of the Universe is a far superior film though than this. So
I mean,
there's no doubt that Master of the Universe is probably the best movie of the decade, let alone probably the century. I mean, the acting in Master of the Universe is far superior. The storyline is incredibly well structured, and the characterization of Master of the Universe is superior to most movies, even of current day. So,
I
managed to almost do that without a straight face.
Wow!
Most of that I did with a straight face. Then
there's entirely too much rebuttal to happen. No, I'm not even going to argue with you on this one.
So, however, Howard the Duck. Let's just move into characters. So the characters in this movie are not the strongest fleshed. I don't think any of them are particularly well fleshed out.
No.
Howard the Duck, it starts in his apartment. He's got home from a day at work. I thought it was quite interesting that we had a voicemail, so it had an answer machine playing messages. So you get to hear a little bit of his life. It obviously cracks open a beer, and it goes through his apartment, showing a little bit of his. Actually, showing the apartment gives an element of his character that isn't necessarily talked about too much. So I thought it was cool that you got to see that he was in a band when he was younger. There's elements of his past shown throughout the war room. He's clearly not married, no children. He sort of has an office job. There's not that much there, and then he ends up on Earth.
Yeah,
and Leah Thompson's character, again, there's no real characterization here. She has a band.
She's a struggling singer in a band with a bad manager.
Yeah, who lives on her own. Tim Robbins' nerdy scientist character, again, we don't know anything about him.
He's dating one of the band members. That's how they met.
I would say that there's nothing really fleshed out about anybody that's in this movie.
No.
So you don't get to know anything about their hopes, their wants, their desires, anything about their past. There's no sort of, sometimes in like most movies, even in Scream, they do it. They sit down at some point and they'll chat a little bit about their background just to let the audience know a little bit more, to make you care about them, right? So there's nothing where I would say there's anything that really pulls you out. The only two characters they particularly do focus on are Howard and Leah Thompson's character of I forgot her name.
Beverly.
Beverly, yeah. So Beverly and Howard are the two most fleshed out characters in this movie. I would struggle to say. I'd almost have to say that they're just joint favorites for me. They both of them kind of carry this movie. Like, I know it's a hard thing to say carry this movie because it's difficult, but I do like Howard's humor. And I do like his bravery, like things like Quack Fu, and where
Mm-hmm.
he saves her from getting attacked by some random weirdos in an alleyway.
Yeah.
I like the bravery that he can't be much higher than a human's knee,
Mm-hmm.
and he's suddenly like attacking these two guys that are attacking her randomly. I thought that was pretty cool, and I admire a lot of his strength of character. That he isn't that tall and he isn't that strong in the human world, but actually he is very much keen to save the day.
Yeah.
So I guess he has got some good heroic principles, which I have to say I admire and
Yeah, he's not
value.
a bad guy.
So I think that's pretty cool. Well, there's a lot. I enjoy the humor and the things like him trying to grab cigars and I kind of like that character side of him. Do
Yeah.
you know what I would say? And I know it's a really weird comparison to make with Howard. He reminds me very much of Wolverine, like in terms of the don't care attitude,
Okay.
the cigar smoking sort of heroic nature of him. So I think obviously they're not completely similar, but
Mm-hmm.
they're what to me I felt like there were some similarities. So I think Wolverine gives less of a shit than Howard,
Well,
but
yes.
but there was more of that there. For Leah Thompson, like I say, the only things I've seen her in was Back to the Future and this. So I actually think she did fairly well to carry a movie that is clearly not very good. So I think if you've got to compare, for instance, last week's Man Thing with what was the Australian actress called who was the
Rachel
kind of
Taylor.
yeah, Rachel Taylor was very weak, but it was one of her first roles.
Mm-hmm.
Leah Thompson obviously is a bit more of an experienced actress at this point in her career. I feel like for where she was at, she did a fairly reasonable like part carrying this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Beverly as a character, I actually quite liked her character. I thought she was quite fun.
Mm-hmm.
She was quite a fun person. Like I think if I was in 1986, she's someone I would have wanted to be friends with. Like I think
Okay.
hanging out with her probably would have been quite. You would have had some fun times, right? Hanging out with her and her friends, and I
Yeah.
think she clearly was a good person as well. She very much has morals and
Mm-hmm.
all the rest of it. I'm really probably stretching my thoughts on these characters now, but I like the fact that there's a good bond built between Beverly and Howard throughout the
Mm-hmm.
movie as well. So yeah, like I say, the person I found the most annoying though was Tim Robinson, the
Yes.
most
Oh my
nerdy,
God.
like
What a
very,
horrible kid. He was also nominated for a Razzie for I'm sorry, for worst supporting actor. He didn't
yeah, he
win.
was awful. Tim Robbins has been in some much better things over the
Oh,
years.
yeah. So much stuff.
Oh,
My favorite character was definitely Jeffrey Jones playing the Overlord.
yeah, okay, that was so weird. That
I loved it. I absolutely like the weird voice that he did, the way that his eyes would like bug out. Like I got such a kick out of this villain. And he was my favorite for the whole film.
I want to. It wasn't Tim Robbins. That was it. The best film I've ever seen Tim Robbins in was Arlington Road.
Better than Shawshank?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Shawshank. Sorry, Shawshank. Yep. Then Arlington Road.
Okay.
Shawshank. Yeah, Shawshank. Then Arlington Road. I thought Arlington Road though was brilliant. No, Shawshank was absolutely amazing. I mentioned that to you off air a couple of weeks ago
Mm-hmm.
actually, where I put it. I'd never seen it before. I put it on and I just didn't move, and I
Yeah.
just watched. Literally, just was glued from start to finish. Shawshank. But no,
Oh,
I thought Arlington
Andy
Road
from
was
Shawshank.
I thought Arlington Road was a really clever movie as well. I thought that was
Mhm.
really good. So, um, yeah, like I say, I think Howard and Beverly for me were great. I could see why you liked the villain.
Yeah. The villain and also like the my favorite scene was that scene in the diner when they sit down at the table and the waitress is like anything and she was like just bring us the special and the special has eggs and when Howard sees the eggs he's like what am I a cannibal? I just thought that was so funny.
There was some good moments in this. Like um, I don't know. I thought he was like funny throughout. I thought he had some really
Hmm.
good moments throughout this movie. So, I don't know. Quack Fu always makes me laugh. I just kind of like the duck kind of takes on humanity.
Hmm.
I kind of wish we could have seen more of Howard's world. Um,
Yeah,
the
but less
baths,
duck boobs.
yeah. But that was funny though.
That was just so, it was so weird because it
Weird.
was like anatomically correct for humans, not for ducks. It was weird.
uh, so let's talk about this structure of this movie. I mean, it's not really much of a structure. I mean, if you want to, I've said this before. If you want to tent pole it, there's Howard going to Earth,
Yeah.
meeting humans. Suddenly,
And then making the decision as to go back to his world or to stay on Earth.
so yeah, and there's an alien threat, and somehow Howard with some band members and a nerdy scientist saved the day.
And the laser. Mm-hmm. Got to have
And
the laser. It's the 80s.
And then they end up having a little bit of a dance thing at the end.
Yes.
That is kind of it. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like it's thin. Like you said, it's thin. But it's the kind of mindless fun where you just like shut your brain off and just enjoy it for what it is. Like you don't think about it. You don't try to attach any logic to it. You just let it ride. I think that's the only way to watch a film like this.
Yeah, so you talked about obviously the diner. Did you have any other favorite scenes or moments throughout the movie, or not?
No, just the diner sequence was just so over the top. Like the overlord turning on everyone, and then it was just the country bumpkins in the oh man, it was just like the whole diner sequence was just a mess.
That weird tongue thing that came out of his mouth as well, like it's just horrible. I liked, so I was just getting up some photos, so I wanted to try and find them. I loved a lot of it at the beginning when we see his Earth and this in the variation on the Indiana Jones poster.
Yes.
Was it Breeders of the Lost Stork? Stork, I think that's it. So I thought that was funny. I thought that's great. Oh, that was it. This is what I was looking for. Play Duck. And he's like, obviously, variation of Playboy.
Yes. Yeah. And he was like, what did they write in this month's issue? Yeah, sure. That's what you're looking at, what they wrote.
I actually really enjoyed that opening scene, to be honest, just seeing the duck version of the world. And then, I don't know. There's not really that much in it, really. It's not the worst film. I'm really struggling to find too much to talk about this movie, but
yeah, and I would skip the anything to change or cut. Like, no, I mean, I think you leave it as is. Like it is what it is, and that's all there is to it.
I think that anything to change or cut, I would say there's not really much you could do with this movie as it is. Leave it as it is. It is a terrible movie, but it is kind of funny.
I enjoyed it. It's a really bad film, but I actually enjoyed watching it.
Mm-hmm. I think if I was to have gone back to 1986 and say, okay, we're going to make this movie, I would have made it animated, but I would have tried to, for the time, maybe this is my own knowledge, I would have tried to make it adult animated. So would have been a risk in the early 80s to have done that, but I think if they'd have done that, you could have seen far more success, I think, with Howard the Duck. So I don't know if the 80s would have been ready for,
Okay, did this come out before or after He-Man? What year was He-Man?
A year before.
Okay, He-Man was 87 and this was 86.
Yeah.
I mean, they just seem like they were right on par with each other. The visual effects seem very similar. The premise actually seems really similar. Like it's just that's why I felt like it seems like a film of the times. Like it just seems like there was a lot of this kind of stuff happening at that time. So
yeah, I think this probably, you can imagine around some sort of Hollywood lot just coming up with bad cheap property. I imagine it cost them hardly anything to get the rights to Howard the Duck. I would love to have known how they went from initial conversation to let's make Howard the Duck.
Yeah. I'm still like shocked that they had a $30+ million budget. Like I don't see where the budget went.
Probably just on, well, you got to think there's an element of CGI, his travel through
and the puppets,
universe, and the puppets. Yeah, I imagine a lot of it went on his Earth, and the travel to Earth,
A lot of it
and
on
then
makeup
him.
and on probably a lot of practical effects, I would think, since they actually had people in a suit, plus they had the puppets.
I wonder. I just kind of like I would love to know how they pitched this movie.
I have no idea.
Like that, just like you can imagine at the time, or was it just all to do with the licensing rights were really cheap?
I don't know. I mean, I think
Um,
like I don't know. It just I don't know. If when you talk about like changing, if there's anything I would have changed, like I never would have made
oh,
this film. I'd have made something completely different.
do you know? Okay, so I just thought I'd actually bring this up. There's here's a few facts here. So in Europe, this was known as Howard, a new breed of hero, rather than in America, it was just called Howard the Duck.
Uh-huh.
And actually, it did say that the screenplay was originally intended to be an animated film.
Oh, look at that.
Um, but the film adaptation became live action because of a contractual obligation. So, um, okay, this is apparently it's the first attempt at theatrical release since Captain America in 1944.
Oh, wow.
So Marvel hadn't had any movies at the cinema for a long time.
Well,
Okay.
thank God they've gotten
Uh,
better.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, look, I don't like to say hate this film. I think it's quite funny. I think it's much more. There's certain films that age badly, or
Yeah. I mean, this
I don't.
definitely does not age well.
It doesn't age well, but I don't think it's. It's really weird to think that Man Thing came out, 20 years later, and this is
And it
still
still
better than
looks
Man
just as
Thing.
shitty. Yeah.
And it's better. It's better
Yeah.
than Man Thing. So I do think though that actors did what they could with what they were given, and I don't hate them for it. Like I think there are some movies where you think flipping heck, like Daredevil, Ben Affleck really just he went to town on making that movie worse, and he doubled down on making it crap. And this film, I do think they did what they could to make this not a bad movie.
Yeah.
So I I do laugh at the Razzies, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right. So what do you rate it?
I don't know. Like I think if it came out now, I probably would give it a zero, a solid
Yes.
zero. Like
Yeah.
I think if somebody was to make this now, I think it would be a solid B movie. Like it would be I would be shocked if somebody made this now, this level
Yeah.
of quality. I think because technology is advanced, I think the budget to make this now would be probably about 2 million. And I
No. I think it would still be. I mean, I think if they're going to make a Howard the Duck now, it's probably still going to cost them like 130 million.
no. I meant if they made the movie with everything that they
Oh,
met,
I see. Okay.
the level of CGI and animatronics that they put in this movie, I think it would cost them equivalent 2 million. If they were to make a decent How the Duck movie now, yes, over 100 million.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if they used the same level of quality that was in this movie, because obviously technology's moved on, but if they
Hmm.
then went and made B movie style practical effects, it would be easily a £2 million film to make. Like it would be really cheap. Even in 2005, they could have made a better movie than this.
Yeah.
So I think I would have to, like I say, give a rating of that time, and I think I'd give it 2.5.
Yep. That's what I give it, 2.5. But yeah,
So
I'm giving it a 2.5 from the lens of if I had watched this in 1986.
I remember liking it when it was when it first came out. I didn't watch it when it first came out, but when I did watch it, it
Yeah.
was probably about 17 or 18 or something. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling with what to say too much about this movie because I don't feel there's that much about it. It's
There's
really
not much to it.
there's not. It's a very thin
Yeah,
movie.
again, there's no real thought required. There's no mystery. There's no nothing. It is a sit down and enjoy the show. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all this film is.
No, actually, yeah. Do you know that's a good point? There's no mystery. There's no big reveal.
Nope.
There's
There's
no.
no tension. There's no build. I mean, they don't do any work to drag you along, other than the fact that there is a freaking duck, a walking, talking duck in the human world. Like that is the draw that pulls you through the rest of the film.
Actually, I thought of another moment I really did enjoy in this movie when Beverly takes Howard to the museum or wherever it is, and she takes to visit Tim Robbins' character, the nerdy scientist guy who happens to actually be a janitor. And he starts trying to speak to Howard like as if he was Daffy Duck or something.
Yes.
And I was just like, I was dying. I was just like, this is so awful. Like,
Oh man.
so
That was ridiculous. Like I didn't realize. First of all, I didn't know Tim Robbins was in this movie, and then like just to have to put up with his character for the whole film, I was like, this is terrible. This is terrible. He's the worst part of the film, honestly.
He's like the kind of character you'd find in American Pie, you know, like the annoying guy who doesn't get laid. Like, or not, he wouldn't even be one of the main American Pies. He'd be in like American Pie Band Camp or whatever it was, you know.
American Pie 7.
Yeah, he'd be in one of those. He wouldn't be in one of the originals that went to the theater. Like his kind of character would be, one of those. So anyway, I'm glad we've watched this. And when I finished watching this about an hour or two before we started recording, and I actually said I'm glad that we've made our way through a few of the crappy ones.
Yeah.
So because
I'm ready for some normal, like our time frame CGI. Like I'm ready for some good CGI.
Okay, so I think actually that's a nice little handover there. So we will next week be reviewing Shazam, the first one. So, and there'll be so much better CGI there, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
We're on social media everywhere. Geeks Unleashed on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts: Google, Podbean, Apple, Spotify. We are everywhere. So please leave us a 5-star review and tell your geeky friends.
Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Have a good week.
Good journey.